I'm getting a encoding overloaded. So I had to reset my computer to get everything up and running again. Now, it might have been because I was playing for 5-ish and a half hours. I'm just taking a minute to get everything up and running again, and I don't know where the save was. So you'll all have to bear with me. Now, this is not going to be a really long extension, but what I would really like to do is to try and I'd really like to try and get back to, like, I was hoping to finish this thing off on the first rebel attack. Okay, so we're doing okay for transcodes. Sorry about that. Let's see what we lost. I've got a ton of activity on the CPU right now. I'm just looking at my task manager right now. I'm hoping not to completely kill the playthrough. All right, I'm really sorry about this. Obviously, it would have been nice to. By the way, am I back for everyone? It seems to be live-ish for me, but I see Prometheus's comment saying. You just see the background and you hear beeps. So the beeps were basically my computer failing to respond to anything. And so eventually I had to decide to just kill it. But the problem is I don't know if I'm actually sort of live and able to interact with anybody right now. So as far as I can tell, I am streaming. You will see Industries of Titan in just a moment. And hopefully somebody can confirm that I am in fact back. Otherwise, this is just for me. Combat is so common on Titan that Titanians should, Titanians, I think it's right, should only be frightened when the skies are silent. It means that there is something much more dangerous brewing. All right, what are we looking at here? It looks like we didn't lose that much, actually. I've also stopped, I feel a little bad, I've stopped taking notes on the different bugs and stuff, so I probably really blew it on this stream, but I guess because I'm sort of recovering from a... wait a minute. It says I'm not live on the app? That can't be right. All right, I think I'm live. Whether or not you guys want to hang around is another question. But seeing as I'm kind of coming back after a sudden interruption, we are going to try and survive the last attack. But now would be great if you have any questions about the game, particularly if you're new, because I've been debating about whether or not there's any value in me doing a sort of a, how to play Industries of Titan. I actually think Phantom Brigade might benefit from it a little bit more. But I am trying to get a read on... So my view is that sort of stuff is probably better done for people who can genuinely establish themselves as authorities on the game. But then the other impulse that I have is, well, if not me, then who? And I think there might be some value in me sharing sort of how I think about the game, and people can respond or not. Definitely in terms of previous games, like the game that I did that for previously is basically the main driver of growth to things like YouTube and such. But it's also kind of interesting because I've been playing this game pretty much since the first update. Hey, cool. Everything is not shut down, and we have space for 18 new citizens, so get in there. Make me some money. So, what I'll explain right now. So I'm getting 12 new people in, plus a bit of minerals and waste. And the main reason the main thing I'm trying to address here is the fact that I've got 1,700 credits in terms of expenses for workers, and I previously was earning you know, a little under 2,000, I think. Probably closer to 1,900 in terms of income. So effectively, all that I was keeping at the end of the day was about 100 credits. Now that's not good if I'm trying to. That's not good if I'm trying to build a. That's not good if I'm trying to build a building that requires 3,000 credits. I need to be generating much more in terms of profits. So now the projected earnings will be 1311. Now the drawback, of course, is that at the moment, that's 1311 next pay cycle. I brought these people in after the workday was finished. There is a mild temptation for me to just take the money I have right now and dump it into frivolities. Although I guess I've already loaded out the spaceport and such. I should just get a read. Holy smokes, 48 energy. Okay, I need to find more power. Also, given the fact that I'm going to be making more money, it also makes me think that I should probably get myself some more employees. But let's take this one step at a time. The second floor of Minnow's workshop was going to be dedicated to refining resources. So if I take a look at my tier 3, not bad. I feel like we can do better. Oh, actually, we are going to be doing better for power for sure in just a moment. So maybe I don't need to panic so much about my big cannon. I do, however, need to panic about my infrastructure here. So let's get the... I think all of these are now going to become priorities. The faster I can entomb them, the faster I can get the large generator built. In the meantime, let's rough out a plan for a full basic resource to full quality, and ideally sort of maximize the effects. In fact, I'm gonna splurge a little bit on a few of these details. So let's say we take. So this will be a mineral input. Oh no, sorry. The first thing I should figure out: employee modules require 2. Okay. So with that in mind, minerals go in here. I should also remember to pause for this stuff, otherwise I'm going to have a huge cost. I can build that. I can stick an employee module here and an employee module here. I suppose one theoretical possibility I haven't actually explored... Oh, actually, you know what? If I'm going to do that... that's probably not as exciting, actually. Well... No. I actually don't have enough space for it. Okay. So I guess it would have to be something like this. Ooh, that's gonna be costly. I mean, it might be interesting, but let's see where this goes. So what I'm trying to find out right now is there a way that I can sort of maximize the number of employees that are working on this thing? So I suppose the best I would hope for in a case like this... Again, I got to make sure all of this is paused, otherwise I'm going to potentially build it, and I will be very upset. So what we would do is we'd make the most of our space. There'd be an output module here. And then the idea would be we build another mineral input module. So get a level 2 processor. This is the tricky one because it's got an odd shape. It's not terrible because it does give you some flexibility as far as the waste processing is concerned, but it does make things a little funny so far as placing your employee modules. So the closest I could do would be something like this. And again, we're not building this for real, so I can afford to spend a little more on the employee modules. Oh, now that's interesting. So I could get 4 employee modules. I could get 3 employee modules. But where does my output go? Holy smokes, that actually works. And a single waste module. Man, that's not pretty, but and then that would invite the question, where do the relays go? I'm not super convinced that this quite does what it's supposed to. I do think it's worth trying, though. So I've got the basics in place now. I'm going to try and build this out of... the idea here is that I want to try and build this out of the sort of the lowest impact. So in this case, I can do a minerals 2 for the mineral input module. Oops. Got to remember it's R. So I think this had 3. Okay, so first question I need to ask myself: Do I have the necessary relay coverage? This will not cover me over here, but that's fine. Nope, that's not entirely fine because I still need to deal with the waste module. Okay. I've already sort of backed myself into a corner here. Well, I will learn to live with disappointment, and I will only have 1 waste module now. Alternatively, I put the output module in a weird place. Nah, I don't actually see any value in putting the output module in a weird place. Okay, well, we're using up all the good stuff. So I'm gonna need to work out some relays for this area. But I think if I sort of wanted peak performance in terms of generating level 3 minerals, that's the sort of thing I would make. And obviously, I'm gonna have to resolve all the issues with. I'm gonna have to resolve all those issues in terms of getting I don't know, just like getting the relays where they need to be. But that's like a tomorrow me problem. We're 9 minutes away from the rebel attack. My main goal right now is to make sure that I have enough energy to withstand it. I may be a little disappointed that I didn't leave myself more tier 1 minerals, because I think we're going to run into some problems in Ions Exchange. It's all well and good for me to talk about how I'm going to build this, utopia of habitat pods and monetization state. Actually, you know what? I need to freak out a little bit less about using tier 3 minerals to produce those. Because, like, in the end, here's the thing that I need to remember about the way that this works. I don't lose anything, right? If it's a tier 1 mineral and I take it to tier 2 and tier 3, the only thing I'm losing by using a tier 3 to make a habitat pod, it's not that I'm losing, the opportunity for 3 tier 1 minerals. All that I've really lost is the time that it took my employees to turn that into a tier 3 mineral. That is not the end of the world. That is not even close to it. Essentially, your minerals, like your resources, will always get better. You can never sort of have them taken away. So I think probably the best thing to do, all things being equal, is to turn everything into a tier 3 as soon as you possibly can. Because in the end, it's either worth the same that it previously was, or it's worth more. It's these intermediate ones that kind of wind up having uncertain value. So I'll try and use that rule moving forward, although clearly I'm generating a lot of influence and I sort of need to deal with what I've got on my plate already. So with that in mind, again, we're still waiting on the rebel attack to arrive, and we are slowly reaccumulating our resources. So I'm going to follow some pretty simple rules. If it's an unusually good find, so I basically say, like, I don't actually know if this is the way that the game works, but here's how I think about red artifacts as unusually good finds. If it's a level 1 ruins and it's got 1 red artifact, I would say that's average. If it's level 1 and it's got 2 red artifacts, it's good. And if it's level 1, it's got 3, it's exceptional. Same deal with level 2. If it's got 1 red artifact at level 2, it's below what I would consider to be a good find for red artifacts. If it's got 3 or 4, it's a very good one, and so on and so forth. So basically, if the number of red artifacts is higher than the level, I'm almost always going to turn it into red artifacts. If red artifacts is below the current level, I'm almost always going to turn it into resources. So, and here's a great example here. Do I want 3 isotopes? I mean, I don't have the mine yet, but it's not worth a red artifact. So, now, if you want the way the game thinks about it, you can actually take a look at the council communication. So, an isotope is worth 10 influence. Red artifact is worth 10 influence. So, technically, well, actually, no. I guess, no, that is where I got the idea from. So, like, in this case here, this level 3 ruins is clearly better for the resources, because if I spend 30 to claim this, it would cost, so to get me the same number of minerals, it would cost me 15 influence. To get the same number of isotopes, it would cost me 15 influence. So I'm already at the 30 there, and then I get the surplus of 3 minerals. Alternatively, I could convert this into the influence through the red artifacts, and I would get 20 back, so it's a net loss of 10. I was wondering, like, I was thinking about it the last time I was playing the game. I was like, where did I get these ideas in terms of what these things are worth? And I'm like, it's because the game has, a table built inside of it to tell you what the value of these things are. So right now I'm just kind of dumping influence, but this is like I'm dumping influence into stuff that's quite worthwhile. I won't take the waste. The waste is just a liability to me right now. Right now I'm just doing the no-brainers, and it's partly just so I can start replenishing my minerals, so I can build my it's so I can build my my special money areas. Alright. This is the last one I can... Alright, I took more red artifacts than I probably should have, but... 4 minutes away from an attack, and we're very, very close to... we're very, very close to our 3,000. I'm wondering if there may not be some benefit. Okay, I've actually got 10 idle right now, so I'm gonna cool it in terms of converting workers. I might skip a payday though, just so I can get an energy plant built. This is the main reason why I turned off the isotope refining. It's so that I can get these energy plants built. Which, I mean, kind of, it's funny that as soon as we get Menno's workshop up, it's sort of rendered a little bit redundant with the acquisition of the God, I'm really bad with the words, of the energy generator, but I'm not gonna complain. Oh crap. I'm not quite there on the on using up the special resources. Because like the thing here is, oh no, hang on. So I'm using up 4 of those. No, it actually makes more sense for me to use the tier 3 resources, because those 4 individual resources are things that can eventually be turned into 25s. So no, it is actually slightly better for me to be using the more valuable ones. At the very least, to use a tier 2. That is a really different way of thinking about the game. I'm definitely going to need to think about that a little bit more. Okay, so energy is on its way. Eventually I'm going to want to upgrade this fuel turbine as well, but that's going to require a bit in terms of the higher tier isotopes, which I'm not quite ready to spend yet. I can always turn that stuff on later, but right now I'm a little bit more focused about on the attack that's going to be coming in. The one thing that I haven't done myself any favors with is by building the energy plant so quickly, I have made it hard to burrow. So burrowing costs 600 credits, and depending on the time of day when the rebels show up, there may be some consequences for that. Also, it's worth remembering that I was kind of ignoring the damage that they were doing to the city. That is something I really cannot afford to ignore anymore. Given how precious some of these resources have become for me, I should definitely be sending my ships out to confront them as early as possible. Of course, I'm working with the kind of the resources I have right now. So we're a minute away. No reason to keep the... Actually, I guess we'll call to arms just in case it... Oh, we're draining batteries, huh? I'll confess, I was actually thinking... Oh no, it's 48, of course. So... This is a new priority. No energy. Why is there no energy? Oh, probably because there's a drain. I could... Yeah, let's turn off the conversion capsules just to stop the losses for a little bit. This is not going to be a problem in a few seconds. As soon as this battery gets built, we'll build another battery, and then we'll build another generator, and then we'll have more than enough to keep this thing running forever. Out of curiosity, how much does it cost to upgrade this thing? 9 isotopes? So basically 1 tier 3. Oh yeah, so that's why it was dumb for me to turn off the isotope machine, because again, the worst that happens... So if I use tier 1s, then those are tier 1s that will never become tier 3s, whereas if I use tier 3, I ultimately use fewer resources. So the answer is going to be I should always be refining resources. It is actually, I really like the way this... The more I think about the system, the more I really like the way that it works. Anyways, I don't know where the rebels are coming, but it'll be spectacular when they arrive. God, I remember what it's like to have a... I've forgotten what it's like to have an easy rebel. Alright, so they're gonna... Their destruction is gonna do quite a number on Mino's workshop, but... Okay, not as bad as I thought. So, cancel the alarm. Do a repair all. I wonder if the I'm not going to adjust the work order because I'm kind of at the end of the. I did say I was gonna handle it right up to the end of the rebel attack, which we've hit now. But I will do I'll do a quick follow up. Or like a postscript. My apologies to the people on YouTube who probably are looking for a short Industries of Titan video, and what you're actually finding is the end of a very long Industries of Titan video. But yeah, I think probably I'll let the game run while I debrief. I'm also interested in seeing what happens with the... So you become a priority. We can afford to turn you guys back on. Excuse me. Okay. So, next steps for this playthrough. I mean, it's not bad that I have a few other alternatives in terms of energy. So Mino's workshop is going to be... I'm going to keep the energy floor. I might change... Hello! It's been a while since I've had somebody die of sickness. I didn't think the pollution was that bad. Oh, you know what? It's probably because of the firefight that just happened. Or it could be that the smokestack's finally... You know, the smokestack's finally having some consequences. Either way, I should probably invest in some air filtration at some point. It's going to be hard for the main area here, but the fact that it reaches all the way to Ions Exchange is actually a bit of a worry. The other worry is that it's a single citizen that has died, so it's really hard to replace them. I also have 43 influence, so let's find a way of... Alright. So the biggest thing that got changed in... Okay, sorry. Biggest thing that I've seen that got changed in this update is the way that factories work. So there's multiple things that you can use a factory for, and I think Lackey's Hovel is probably the best example of all the different uses that you get out of them. So previously, I would essentially do this template in terms of building building factories. So like this is sort of my my cubicle farm. You get to see people living very satisfied and happy lives. With standing desks, marching on towards their happy pods, and just generally doing the sorts of things that I want them to do. And this is kind of the way that I felt I could maximize my, I can maximize the number of people in a space. It's reasonably orderly. It has probably too much relay coverage, but frankly, I couldn't be bothered to, to work out all the little technicalities of it, and I get a little bit of spare fuel space, because who doesn't want to sleep beside a full fuel tank, right? Now, there is resource refining, and it's taken me a little bit to get a good grip on it, but it's a really interesting system. So some games, when they want to introduce this kind of economy, what they'll do is they'll start you off with basic resources, and then what you will do is you will dedicate some of those resources towards producing refined goods. And that's not the way that Industries of Titan does it. The way that Industries of Titan does it, or seems to do it, is that you will have your basic minerals. So like everything has a mineral cost or an isotope cost. But what's happened now is the price for certain things have changed. So if you want to build a turret, you can, but the cost has gone up by quite a bit. So in this case, you'll be spending 400 minerals in order to build that turret. Is it worth 400 minerals? Absolutely not. It never cost that before. What you want to do instead is you want to start refining your minerals. And what will happen is when you refine your minerals, you still, when you start with a tier 1 mineral, you will refine it into a tier 2 mineral, which means that that mineral is just more suitable for construction. And you can take that tier 2 mineral and turn it into a tier 3 mineral, and that one is also that much more suitable for construction. I guess probably the analogy that you would draw would be, is it possible to build a house out of stones that you find lying around? Yes. You probably can build some kind of a house out of stones you find lying around. Would it be better if you had, bricks? Yes, bricks are probably a little bit more suitable in terms of being able to build something like a house. It'll be done faster and so on and so forth. And then, you keep moving on and just think about different types of construction material. Now, again, I don't know that much about construction, so, I'm sure there's probably a better analogy drawn from, the raw materials that go into building supplies. I'm a knowledge worker. I actually am very useless at pretty much anything but what I do at my job. So I will be completely upfront about that. So, it's taken me a little bit to wrap my head around because I'm so used to there being a trade-off. Like, here's the thing, like, grand strategy is cool now. Definitely there are more people playing Crusader Kings 3 than pretty much any time I was playing. I feel like when I started playing Crusader Kings 2, I was kind of that cohort that was suddenly discovering Paradox grand strategy games. Like, that was when they were suddenly becoming a little bit more mainstream, and that was kind of how I had discovered them. And so, I've gotten this... I remember when I was in a chat with Olaf, and like there was this implication that somehow like civilization is just too simple for strategy people. And the thing is that like I really do enjoy big complicated games, but there is something to be said about a game that does not throw like. It's hard to say that Industries of Titan is a simple game, right? There's tons of systems going on in the background, like. The Zethane is changing all the time, and I am affecting it by where I've put my different resources. This pollution is going to change because it's raining. In fact, I'll keep it up on here, and you'll probably see the pollution recede. The thing is that the game's not really drawing a whole lot of my attention to it. It's one of the reasons why video games are so cool. I don't have to go to the rule book and, roll a 6-sided die for each tile to see how much the rain, took the pollution out of the air. And so the decision to, instead of introducing, 5 or 6 new kinds of minerals and isotopes or things that you can combine and turn them into that, really what's happened is they've said, if you want to get more out of your minerals, what you can do is you can get your workers to spend, you're spending credits on your workers. You can get your workers to work on these minerals and isotopes for a period of time. And, energy costs and so on and so forth. And what you'll get in response is basically the same as having 25 of those basic materials, which in my opinion is a really good trade-off. And better still, what you can do, and this is the thing that I've needed to learn, building something with a tier 3 resource is not necessarily any worse than building it with a tier 1 resource. If I have an infinite time horizon, using tier 1 resources means that whatever surplus I paid, if it's a 5 mineral item, what that means is that I've now had 4 resources that couldn't grow up to become worth 100 resources through refining. And so what I need to eventually start doing is thinking about how I can get to a point where I'm generating as many tier 3 resources as possible and building everything using that. Now, the fact of the matter is that in the context of the game, I'm going to have things that I need to do right away. I'm not necessarily going to be able to say that I have an infinite time horizon and therefore I can use all of my tier 3 resources right away. It might be I need to get a turret up, and I need to get a turret up in the next 15 minutes, and oh my goodness, what did I just do? I've spent all of my tier 3 resources on building, habitat pods. But it's really neat to just see how simple the system is. And yet how it's encapsulating all of these different things that you can get your workers to do, right? You could just have easily have said, well, we're going to introduce a system where you can tell your workers to work longer on a on an area and you need to use fewer resources. Well, you don't need to do that because now you've got a whole refining system, and it's given me something more interesting to do with the factory floors. Hey, Worms Peddler, I'm actually just wrapping up for tonight. I'm kind of doing the recap in terms of some of the changes that have been brought in on Industries of Titan, but this is a good game to follow up on because the Industries of Titan is also a cyberpunk game. It's just cyberpunk from the point of view of somebody who's building. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's probably just me taking my time to in wrapping things up. But I'm always happy to see people. I'm always happy to see familiar names come back. So. Anyways, with that in mind, this is going to be what the next few streams of Industries of Titan is going to be built around. Unfortunately, I have sort of taken up all of these fuel resources for Mino's workshop. Perhaps to explain the names, the name of the company that was randomly generated through the game is Plato Solutions, so I'm naming each of the buildings off of dialogues. At least the ones that I can rename. I can't rename the fuel turbine and the energy pylon and such. So far we've got Lackeys, Ion, Mino, and the Laws as dialogues that we've named things off of. The problem is like none of the dialogues really lend themselves towards... I'm sure one of them should probably be named the Republic, but it's like, because it's the only one that's really about organizing. Well, no, I guess Laws is about constitutions. But obviously there's one entirely about organizing resources and whatnot, but I can't just, Republic is a big name. You gotta pick the right thing to, oh man, I'm gonna have some fun with ship names actually. I got to think about that. All right. But yeah, so Mino's workshop has got the power. We've got 54 energy to run around with. So at this point, really I can go nuts and start building these additional floors for citizenry for getting additional credits. At some point, I am going to need to upgrade the fuel turbine. Actually, can I do that now? No, I need one more extra. Oh, but I have the resources in Lackey's hovel to do that. So yeah, like I said, upgrading everything to tier 3 resources should be a top priority for me now. It does mean that I'm going to have more workers occupied, but my city will be better for it. And of course, the other thing that's interesting about this update is there's a whole other little Tetris game that you need to do now in terms of building these. Like, it's neat. Big Pharma is a game that has, you build something by putting together these difficult to fit pieces together. This is quite different from Big Pharma. Whoa! Where did all my fuel go? Oh, don't tell me the... I think I know what happened. No? Okay, these don't have a fuel use. Why did my Zethane drop all of a sudden? It can't be because I put these energy plants in. Nope, that's exactly what hit him. Yeah, so here's a perfect example. So under the old system, I'd say, okay, I have 2 isotope ones. Clearly, I do not want to take, I can upgrade it to something that's equivalent to 3 isotopes. Why would I use something that's worth 3 isotopes to build something that's worth 2? And the answer is, If I do that, then the extra isotope that I use cannot later be refined into something that's worth 3 or 9. I think it's 3 or 9. Let me just double check that. Yeah, 1, 3, and 9. So in future, what I'm going to be doing is, using the tier 3 stuff, or possibly tier 2 stuff, as much as possible. Now, here's also where that way of thinking is going to get me in trouble. Right now, I need 3 tier 3 isotopes to build this fuel turbine. If I don't build... If I use the tier 3 isotopes to connect this energy plant, I'm not going to be able to upgrade the fuel turbine, and it's going to be useless to me to have this energy plant if I'm not generating that fuel. So there's a balancing act. But I am definitely, moving forward, I'm going to be treating it as if I want to get as many resources as possible, and I want them to just be, screaming through the processors as quickly as possible. And that's exactly why Mino's workshop has got this absolute nightmare. Well, this is part of the nightmare, but just this horrifying contraption. 3 level 1 processors, 4 employee stations, 1 waste receptacle. Like it's something. But I'm interested in seeing how this thing works. And I've got my people building it. They're building it with tier 1 minerals, unfortunately, but that's another matter. But yeah, basically this is my experiment to see how quickly I can produce tier 3 minerals, and then I might try and do a similar contraption on the 3rd floor of Mino's workshop, because now that I can build energy plants, there's no reason for me to use factory space for anything but something that'll earn me credits and something that will earn me earn me better resources. After that consideration, there's a couple things that I need to think about as far as my overall structure. So I think within my command area, I'm probably close enough to this mine to actually be able to build the mine right away and extract from it. That is less true for the isotopes. So I have a little bit of a hard decision for me coming up, which is, do I build the command center? So that's going to be 3.5 credits, at which point I'm going to need to eventually at that point I'm going to have to build the mine. So that's going to wind up being 4,000 credits. I'm going to need 7,000 credits to do that. And what that's going to mean is that the 3rd building that I build is the shipyard. And that's, that just means that my defensive capabilities are pushed, really far down the road. The alternative is, I say we're going to focus a little bit more on minerals. We will just kind of count our pennies when it comes to isotopes, and that means I build a mine. I try and get a turret up as quickly as I can. I sort of double down on the smokestack and the pollution, and we accept that there's going to be a lot of deaths to sickness in the factory areas. But it does mean that I'm going to have sort of a fairly steady stream of high quality minerals coming in. I can pave the planet and just generally build weapons of war. The biggest question for me is really what the costs for the ships are. I suspect what's going to happen is that minerals are going to become much more important for the construction of ships, and as a result, I am going to want the mineral node. But that'll probably, honestly, those are decisions that are probably better left for my my future playthrough. But that's going to be my sort of next goal for the next stream of Industries of Titan that I do, is definitely going to be focused on getting mines set up for the mineral node and the isotopes, trying to get a handle on some command centers so that I can get out to those isotopes, and then of course be able to get enough of this infrastructure built to be able to sort of build enough defensive structures. I think I'm also going to wind up doing a slightly different setup where I wind up like I try and have a fuel turbine, an energy plant, a defensive turret, and like basically it's all kind of self-contained. So it's something that could theoretically be severed from the grid, and it'd still have a running defensive turret, and that'll sort of help me. That'll help me with some problems that I was running into a little bit later in the previous run. But again, this is all stuff for me to work out in the future. One last thing. Oh no, I can't do this because it's gonna mess with the stream. So I'm just gonna save, and we'll take the fight to the enemy next stream. Hopefully, I think there's been like 6 hours of Industries of Titan for those of you who have been sticking with us since the start. Thank you for that, because I know I was meandering in my thoughts for a little bit. Honestly, the autosaves are usually pretty... Oh no, yeah, this is... I'll leave it to the autosaves. There's no reason not to. Yeah, it's happy to have you. Happy to have you in the stream, Worms Peddler. Let's take a minute and see who we can find online. I suspect Night Valian will be streaming, but let's see what else we can find. Actually, that's another thing I forgot to mention for Night Valian. He did Cloudpunk not too long after I played it, so it's another good reason to watch him. Let's see what we're up again. Hey, no problem, Olaf. I'm sorry for the meandering. I feel like I should have done better, but let me just share. I'm actually really happy. Okay, I'm actually really happy at the number of people who show up for Industries of Titan streams. I actually wish. So one, I wish there was more. Obviously, I also wish there was more for Phantom Brigade. But this is a really good game. It's a game I like. I wish I had like a 7-day-a-week streaming schedule so I could do these games more than once. And I'm seriously debating about whether or not I'm going to be able to get an extra stream in so that I can do like a second Industries of Titan stream this week. So I'll announce that on Twitter if I do. So thank you for that, especially for those of you that are staying late, because I like sharing this game a lot, and I'm really happy that some people are connecting with it. Now, I don't know if Brian on the Rocks is going to be streaming alongside, but there's actually a fairly new streamer. So I'm gonna shout out Night Valian, who's playing Breath Edge. I did shout him out earlier, so I do encourage you guys to check him out, especially if you like somebody who's a little bit more mellow and has soft voice, maybe something to let you go to sleep with. But Static Saturn is somebody who's actually been looking to build up their stream. It looks like they've been streaming for about an hour and 43 minutes, so I think she'll probably be streaming a little bit longer. She usually winds up streaming Apex Legends with Brian on the Rocks. Brian on the Rocks is a developer on that. He's also a Vancouver developer at Respawn. So the thing is that I know Static Saturn really appreciates it when people watch her stream. And because I don't have anybody to host Industries of Titan for, I will try and send it to a place where I think the impact will be the most. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys come along. I know they're a very nice streamer, and I know there's somebody who are, they're looking to both grow the stream and grow as a broadcaster. So I know you are all very friendly and will probably be a good audience for that sort of thing. But if Siege isn't your cup of tea, if Static Saturn style doesn't quite work for you, I do highly recommend Night Valian 28. And actually, I will also recommend Love Lust Games. Now, she's normally off at this time, so I don't know how late she'll be going, but she is playing The Elder Scrolls V, it looks like. But we're going to leave it with Static Saturn. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Friday is going to be Hollow Knight. Monday, probably Phantom Brigade. And next Wednesday, Industries of Titan for sure. But I will announce on Twitter if I do an extra Titan stream. And I'm really hoping to do that. So have a good night, guys. Please enjoy Static Saturn.